Oh, hello there, boys and girls, friends, new viewers, returning viewers. We got a treat especial for you guys. I am working on a fleet, yes, I said it, a fleet of Ariens snow throwers, snow blowers, snow whatever you want to call them. We have had these for a year now. One winter season, and they're in for their annual going over. As far as I can tell you, I didn't run these machines, so I have no idea. Well, I do have an idea how good they are, but I just don't have an idea. I've only witnessed them, and I can say that these are serious snow blowers. They do work well. We have here, these are 28-inch professional series, and we bought these because of their ability to get into smaller places, and they have big motor compared to the chute size. These are carbureted Ariens motors. They're, I think, AX, something like that. I can't remember the name of the company that makes the motors. These are a Chinese motor made in China. They seem to work well. Don't seem to have any issues with them. There is a problem with the skid feet. I'm going to go through and show everybody how to do this, but here's a problem with what happens when the skid feet are beaten down off of them. So I'll be fixing that. Here's the other one in the fleet. Now this is an older one. This is 3 years old. It has the same motor. This is a bigger cut though. I think this is a real 36-inch cut as opposed to 28. And you can see it's a bit more beat up. This has the fuel injection in it. The only problem that I have with this one right now, I've gone through, did all the service. I've got one plastic bushing here to replace in here, and I have to change the cable ends on the battery. The battery in this unit, and again, this is a professional series 36-inch hydrostatic drive Ariens snow thrower with the FI, and the battery in this unit is an RC car battery, and it's hidden up here underneath in the dash, so I have to change the ends on it. Because it won't run without a battery, because you need the battery to start the engine, because it is EFI, which is electronic fuel injected. It seems to run really good. So, and I mean, this has been she's been abused. Yeah, they've heard it a few times with some rough work. But yeah. And this one over here, this is the last of the fleet. I don't know what's... Yeah, this one still seems to be adjusted pretty good. So I'll be going through doing oil change, and I'll show you what I do to do a pre-season service. So there you go. That gives you an idea. What we're doing, this one here, this particular unit's almost finished. I just got to change the oil in it, and it should be good to go out the door. It only needs one part that I have to get. So. I can't tell you about the Ariens. They seem to be the most popular machine in the area. Their owner's manuals are fantastic. Lots and lots of diagrams, lots of clear explanations. Yeah, so I'm not pitching a product here, but if I was going to buy a new snowblower, I think this may in fact be the one that I would buy. Maybe not exactly this model, but I would shoot towards an Ariens machine, because they're made in USA and they're well built, except for the motor. Obviously it's made in China. But anyway, that's the intro. I'm going to pick up on this probably tomorrow. It depends how fast I get this one done. I'll be moving over to this one, and then I'll start to show you what I do. So anyway, while you're thinking about it, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll see you in a bit. Okay, one of the first things I check is to make sure that the augers are not seized to the auger shaft. On this particular unit, you can see there's a grease nipple here and a grease nipple there. That's where I pulled the shear bolt out of. So what I'm going to do is grease that up and check it so that we know that if we impact something enough to break the shear bolt. So I can see grease squirting. I don't know if you can see it right there. I'll give it a little push. There, you can see it oozing. We'll get on this one right here. Someday. And the way these augers are formed, it makes it a pain in the butt to get on them. And then we'll give that a squeeze and we'll look right to here. Okay. So I've got grease coming down. So what I'm going to do is pull that off. And I'm going to give this a good spin. You know, right away it felt stiff. Okay, so we know there's lots of grease in there. So I'm going to do it again real quick. And then we'll know for sure that that's received a good amount of grease. And we'll have to do this 2 times, obviously, on this side of the auger. We'll pull out the bolt, the shear bolt, shear pin, whatever you want to call it, and that gives us the opportunity to inspect them to make sure there is no issues. Okay, I'm liking that because I got grease coming from here and I got grease coming out the side, so I know that cavity between the 2 tubes is full. Now, I wanted to show you the shear bolt. Here's the shear bolt here. And you can see it's got a notch cut in it here and here. In order for these to break properly, they have to be installed properly, so that means they have to be not torqued, but tight, snug in this hole, so that these will line up, and if you impact something, it'll shear off nicely. So to put that back in there, just that simple. All we had to do is line that up. Then come in from the back side, pushed out a wad of grease, and we can make sure that that shear bolt stays greased up. Now there's a couple things just to let you know, is that keeping this tube full of grease keeps water out. So there's some thought process that says that you shouldn't over grease things. Well, this is kind of one of those things. If the void's filled with grease, water can't get in there. So that's the first thing we do. I've already gone ahead and put anti-seize on the skid shoe adjustments, so they're ready to go because I have it tilted in the up position. I did both sides. That's what the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to make sure that all the adjustments can be made, and I'm going to go through this step by step. So this is the first step, is to make sure that the augers are free to, if they impact something, they shear off, and it keeps everything rolling, because you don't want to bend any of this shaft work in here. So far it's been good. Okay, so I'm going to get the other side done, and I'll catch back up to you. In the meantime, you can just hang out. Well, here's an example of how the shear bolt works. Have a close look at that. You can see where it's almost yielded. I went to take the other side, this side here, apart out of here, and the head just popped off. And that's exactly what's supposed to happen if the auger comes into impact with a solid. I don't see anything in here, but that's what I wanted you guys to see. So I'll replace this shear bolt. That little indentation right there on the nut, that's called a center lock nut. It's supposed to be there, and this keeps the nut tight once you tighten it down. This side's all done. It's installed. And yeah, we're good to go. So I'll finish this side. I just wanted to make sure you guys understood how the shear bolt works. And that, yeah, they do work. And yes, they're important. And don't replace them with regular bolts. And God help you keep the grade 8 bolts out of here. And yeah, so order yourself some spare shear bolts. I know the blowers come with it, but you may hit stuff and go through them. So the next thing I'm going to do is grease this shaft up the same, and then we'll move forward. Okay, we got her in the service position. So what we're going to do now is set the foot height. I leave a little bit of a gap because we do have gravel. So you can adjust the gap accordingly. So all I'm using there is a wrench handle. You can see that gives us a little bit of gap, which just means there'll be some snow left over. No big deal, but it's far better than these things drinking up all kinds of gravel. So loosen this off. And then we'll tighten it up. There you go, prescribed nugget. And I'll do the same on the other side, and that's setting the feet. Skid shoes, feet, whatever you want to call it, and that's setting them up for the clearance is adjustable, so you can determine what you need. 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 for paved driveway, and then, you know, 1/2 inch or better for gravel driveway. Okay, the machine is in the service position. That's sitting on its face up in the air. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to pull the wheels off, and we'll pull the bottom cover off, and we'll go through all the lubrication points there. Unfortunately, I got to do this quick because this unit has too much gasoline in it, and we can over the gas. So the first thing I like to do is hit the plastic bushings, and the reason why I hit them is to keep the shafts from rusting. We'll go through. All these cables are way too loose. Very loose on this unit. We'll go through just all that stuff. We'll lube all the pivoting points under here because there's a whole bunch of them. You know, just to give them a shot of lube. And the big thing here is keeping things from corroding. That's the biggest point, just to stop the corrosion. Because snow blowers are subjected to water and salt. And those are not good things. So I'm hitting all the magical pivot points. And you'll see them. Play with your controls on your machine and get an idea of where the pivot points are. Okay, even though this is plastic and it really doesn't require lubrication, my goal here is to prevent corrosion, and that's the key to longevity. Most of these machines don't wear out per se, but they die from corrosion. And the corrosion that we see, like you can see evidence, so let's spray it. Okay. Product I'm using here is Honey Goo. Good product. Turns into like a greasy paste. And yeah. So I'm gonna keep going through this whole thing. Your machine may differ where the pivot points are. But just take care of it that way, and you'll see what I mean. And if it looks like it needs lube, lube it. Doesn't matter. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, here's the first sign. All this. That's rust. So there's the first sign that we're in trouble already. Brand new machine. You can see in here, you can see the rust. So we're going to pull this off. We're going to anti-seize. It's not seized yet. Let's get the key to the top. Look at the rust. You see what I'm telling you guys? That you got to keep this stuff lubricated. Because when you need to take this wheel off, if it's not lubricated, you'll never get it off. Look at the axle shafts. I'm telling you, I don't know why they send these things out the door like this, but this is just trouble waiting to happen. You'll see the difference once I'm going to clean this and lube it. Stand by. I'll get a shot of this once it's off. I need 2 hands. There you go. 1 season. Okay? This is the damage that the rust has caused. And there's a little bit of grease that the assembly came in. You can see it right there. White grease, white lithium that they put on to hold the key in place while they assemble this on the assembly line. That's it. That's all you get. There's the corrosion. So, brand new machine. Pull the wheels off. Grease the shafts. I'm telling you, you'll save yourself. If you need to change this bearing and you can't get this wheel off, you have no idea how hard this can be. This was hard enough just for me in a brand new machine. And I've done these 10 years old. I even taught a Terry Small engine shop where I used to live. I taught him how to get these off because he had never dealt with pulling frozen stuff before. And we worked on a blower for 2 hours to get one wheel off. We're trying to save the wheel and not damage it. So by all means, pull these off and lube. I'll show you in a minute. That's all I got right now. I could use abrasive, but that didn't do too bad. We can see there is some pitting. A fair amount of pitting. Let's get that again. It's too bad, eh? Okay. So they're good. We're gonna wipe. And then when I'm done inside of here, I'm going to pull all these bolts, pull the other wheel off. I'll lube all this up beforehand. Got the cover off, and we're inside the belly of the beast. Again, this is a 1 season old machine. Yeah, it looks like 10. But anyway, that gives you an idea. We'll have to grease this. We've got to grease this, which is this shaft. There's a bushing in here. This spins around that shaft, you can see. I got to grease this shaft. We're going to check, make sure everything is in good condition. We're going to lube down there in that bushing. Make sure it's all okay. This one, yeah, it's a bit unique. The last one we had loose axle bearings. This one seems to be okay. These axle bearings were loose. You can see this side didn't rust up as bad. So I am going to take my honey goo and apply it on this chain. going to keep doing that. And then I'll get right back to you guys. Okay, I got my, this is the differential, and that's the pinion gear and the ring gear. I got all that lubricated. I got my chain lubricated. I got my shaft here lubricated. It's got grease in it now, so that bearing inside there is lubricated. I give these, any of the points that I don't want to be rusted together, even this bearing here, doesn't matter. Some of the oil will creep in there. I just give it a good shot just to make sure. Some people call me crazy. You can call me crazy too, but that's okay. Because you know what? It never hurts. And the only thing we got to worry about is making sure this drive wheel here doesn't get too greasy. We got to make sure it stays clean. And then with all this spraying going on, and the last thing I got to do is lubricate the hex shaft. But I'll do that with my finger, and then we'll get onto there before I button that up. So now let's get back to the wheel shaft. I'm going to lubricate that because remember, anti-seize is our friend, and you can put copious amounts on here, not going to matter. And I'll tell you why, because the more anti-seize there is, the less opportunity for the ingress of water, moisture. So that's what we're trying to do, boys and girls. We're trying to stop this from getting water inside. Now, unfortunately, I don't have anything to clean out those bores, so I'm going to spray them. And we'll put this back together as it is. So let me get this. Here's the here's the key. Key goes in there like so. Seated in nice. And I'm going to turn that up just a little bit, and then for the rim, because I don't really have anything to clean it out properly, we'll just take the honey goo and we'll install a copious amount of the honey goo. Sorry, I'm off camera a little bit. Okay. That's good. And the spacer, it should be okay. I forgot to take the key out. Sorry, I'm off camera again. Get the spacer in there. Get her riding in a slick of anti-seize. Because the spacer took some off, we'll slap some more back on. We'll get the key, and then the keyway, and then we'll pre-lube the hole in the rim. And then we'll put this spacers back in place. We'll get the rim back on. See if I can get that. Nope, I'm not gonna get it. Not with one hand. Where's the keyway? Where's my keyway? Right. Are we off? Oh, there it is, right there. Right there, I think. Look at that. Okay, just shake this. Bam! There you go. And all this crap's leaking out this side, which is beautiful. And we had a splooge out the front, which is beautiful. So that means it's all full. And anybody knows the trials and tribulations of anti-seize. Okay. It'll be everywhere. That's okay. A little bit of anti-corrosion on there. Okay. And this side's done. So that gives you the idea. I'm going to finish the rest of this off, button all this crap back up, and then we'll go from there, because everything's just a repeat of that side. But I do have to pull the wheel up, put the cover back on. So let me get finished in here. We'll get this thing back on its non-service position, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Can you guys see that? That's why it's important to check this stuff. See that? Okay, this cover's got to come back off. I just noticed this at the end. All right, back up, move forward, go backwards, blah, blah, blah. We'll get her. Hold on. Okay, 2 side notes. All these bolts right here, they have to be there. The bottom pan is integral to the structure of the machine. Okay, you can see the anti-seize all over the place. Look at that. God love it. And down this hole, see what you can do to squirt some lube down here, because one axle shaft passes inside through the other. Sorry, I'm right out of shot. Okay. So I'm going to keep pumping oil into here, and then I'll put the wheel back on, and we'll be able to put this back in. Got this all tightened up. We'll give her some more lube and love, and then we'll go from there. We'll keep going. Tire pressure, important. Very important. Okay. This particular unit, 20 psi. Whoa, look at that. Look at that. There you go. It actually held for the season. The other tire was down 10 psi. So I'll do both sides, and then I'm going to break for lunch. She's back on her in her operating position. Everything is lubed up. You can see traces of lube. And then we'll get into the engine. Okay, it's the next day, and we got all of the lubrication points done on the main frame of the snowblower. We did all the greasing. We did all the every point that moved. If it moved, I sprayed it. And I'll tell you, a lot of this stuff's okay when the machine's brand new and the zinc plating is all there, but as soon as it gets older, that stuff starts to wear off, and a little bit of rust happens at each point. So yeah, that's what you get. You get problems. So I lube it. If it moves, lube it. If it doesn't move, then don't lube it. Right now, I ran the motor for 2 minutes, or maybe actually a little more, to get the oil stirred up. I don't care about warming it up necessarily as much as I care about getting the dirt stirred up. So that when we change it, we get all the dirt out. So I'm going to dump the oil out right now. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to adjust the cables so there's no slack in it. So I'll kind of do 2 things at once. I'm going to lube all these up with anti-seize. I'm going to adjust it so that just see this slack in the cable is gone. That gives you the best engagement on all the clutches, or not the clutch, well, the drive for the auger and the drive for the traction. That's what give you the best engagement. So that's what I'm going to do, and we'll see you in a bit. So I'm just grabbing onto the adjustment barrel with a pair of vice grips so I can loosen off the lock nut. Oh, wait a minute, that's 10 mil. That's weird. That's the only thing on this thing that's 10 mil. Sorry about that. Let's get this. There. So this is how this adjusts right here. See, listen to that, eh? Isn't that terrible? That's the effects of corrosion already. when you're, so I'll spray the boogers out of that. And we'll run this down a bit. And then we'll tighten this up. You can see I'm taking the slack out of the cable. Not too much. I gotta inspect the belts too, so, but I know this has to be done. So you would check this again if you put new belts on your machine. I like that. So that one's done. I'll set the jam nut afterward, and you can see this one's just totally. Now why this adjustment is so important is because that sets the tension on your belts wrapping around the crankshaft pulley to do either driving it or moving snow. And if you don't set that properly, your belts are going to slip, and when the belts slip, they burn, and you get the black dust flying out everywhere, and that's your belts burning up. And belts are expensive, so this spring, it sets the tension on the idler wheels to give how much pull it really needs to do the job and get it done. So I like that. Maybe just give it a little tweak. So I stroke it a few times. Yeah, I like that. So I'll do the other one. I'll do this is the traction drive. I'll do the auger drive, and we'll get back to you. And with the passing of time and exposure to the elements, the jam nut does not want to travel at all. All right. We definitely have a problem here. Let me fix this, stand by. This already has succumbed to corrosion. So, sorry. I'm trying to do, because I'm one-handed, just try to get the jam nut to travel down. Like it travels back, no problem. There we go. I'm getting corroded spots. I have the vice grips lightly clamped on a threaded portion to be able to get this, but you can see what I'm doing. That nut should travel down freely, because once you do travel over a spot, it travels back freely. Oh yeah, that's just what the corrosion's doing. It's firing up the zinc, and stuff does not. There we go. Does not adjust like it used to. So I've got that adjusted right down. No longer need the vice grips, and we'll be taking all that slack out of there. Oh yeah, so I didn't video it, but I took that apart and I put anti-seize on there. I just didn't like it. You can see right there. I didn't like it. Oh, here comes the silver. Silver gold. I did not like how much that was being difficult. So when I adjust the cables, what I like to do is to adjust the cable. And this is just zero slack. And then stroke it a few times. Make sure it's okay. You can see the spring grow. The spring sets the tension on the belt. So that automatically happens. There's no play on that. So all that looks good. So there, that's adjusting the drive cables. I'm going to take the plug, the oil plug, in this case cap, and I'll clean off that stem. And then we'll take a little dab of Loctite 567 thread sealant. And we'll rub that on there. Get some more. The old broken commercial. A little dab will do ya. I don't like Teflon tape. Teflon tape's for the bathroom, kitchen sink. It's not for machinery. I know lots of people will argue that. Feel free to fill your boots on that argument, because I really don't care. All right. So the cap is put back on the oil drain, and we're ready to refill the engine with oil. This uses a little, about 1.25. The book says 1.23, but I find it low on the stick, so I go by the stick. So I put 1.25 liters in there. I'm using a Pennzoil product today. Ultra Platinum 5W30 synthetic oil to go in the motor. Mostly because these units will be parked outside and it'll be cold weather, and pulling the rope on standard oil is not easy when the motor's frozen. So I'll be putting the oil in. I'm not gonna film that, you guys know how to put oil in, and then I'll get back to you. I think that was it. Just that point gets it's under a bit of tension. Oh yeah, right here. There. So I adjusted, checked, inspected drive belts. They're okay. All the settings are where they're supposed to be on an Ariens. I like to go through, make sure there's nothing wrong with the belts. And yeah. Yeah, I don't see anything untoward. I'll roll the whole belt. I can't do it with one hand. I'll roll the whole belt and make sure they're all good. I can gauge the auger and pull the cord and spin the belt around. Or I can do it with the electric start, doesn't matter. As long as it doesn't start, I'll be able to view the entire belt, but I can't do that one hand, no tripod, so. And I think I filled the oil. I'm gonna change the spark plug just because, and we'll call that done. So, just to give you an idea on the spark plug I took out for one season. I know a lot of you guys like that stuff. And that's a lot of carbon. So, and you know what? It'll probably clean up and run, but I don't care. And this is what came out of the motor. So, and then, and this is what we're going to put in the motor. Okay, that's what I'm putting in, and I'm going to anti-seize the threads like I always do on the spark plug, and that'll be it for this one. This one will be done. I'll check the belts, put the cover back on, and everything will be good to go. And then we'll give her a run, see how she goes. So that's it in a nutshell. That's your basic, what do you call it? Preventative maintenance for a pre-season inspection and preparation for a Ariens 28-inch, the Pro model, the 28-inch Professional. I like the units, I like them a lot, because they get the job done and we can rely on them. But like anything else, they do need maintenance and care, and that's what we're doing. So I'm going to get all this cleaned up, finish this thing off, and that'll be it for today's video. For sure, please like, subscribe, ring the bell. I know I sound like I'm patronizing, and I'm not trying to, but it's so important to hit that subscribe button. It does so much for all the content providers on YouTube. It's how it determines how YouTube treats us. So if you like the content, subscribe and like. That's just that simple. I hope somebody got some information, useful information out of this on how to take care of their snowblowers and the importance of checking everything, because everything's expensive. You know, you look at the belt, 30 bucks a belt, times 2 for the auger, 1 for the drive. If you don't adjust your controls properly, you're gonna burn the belt out. So that's 60 bucks for less than 2 minutes worth of work. You save $60. So it's all about keeping our equipment running well and saving money. And eliminating downtime, because there's nothing worse than a snowstorm and the snowblower throws a belt or burns one up. And we don't want that to happen. So there you go. Okay, like, subscribe, ring the bell. See you back. Thank you very much. God bless. Keep the peace and vote often. See you soon. Bye-bye.